artists, it's so good to see you again. Today we're going to be creating an artwork based off an artist some of you might know about. First graders, this artist is going to be new to you, but my second graders already know all about Sondra Silsberwig. Sound familiar? Sondra Silsberwig is a Canadian abstract artist that was famous for her beautiful portraits that she created. You created an abstract portrait a few months ago based off of her artwork. So today, first and second graders, we are going to dive into another artwork based off of her. So we are going to be creating abstract fish paintings. So in just a minute, you're going to see some of her beautiful fish paintings that she created as well. And what makes them so incredible are all the bright colors and patterns that she uses in her artwork. So together, we're going to create this masterpiece. So join me in just a few minutes, gather your supplies and come back here and let's learn how to make one together. Now, before you go, next week, I'm going to be coming up with a lesson that has some unique supplies. So in case anybody is going to the grocery store over the next week, here are 2 supplies, if you don't already have them in your household, that you will need for this portion of the project. Now, if you don't have these supplies, no worries, we can do something else, but this is just going to add a little extra fun to the project next week. So here are the 2 supplies you're going to need, and it's going to seem strange, but I promise you next week it's all going to make sense. First supply, shaving cream. Friends, we're going to be using shaving cream next week in our artwork. So if you do not have any shaving cream at your house, it's really cheap, only $1 or $2. Make sure you put that on your grocery list. And then a lot of you probably already have this, food coloring. Doesn't matter what colors, this is a 4-pack. So get yourself some food coloring and some shaving cream, and this is for next week's lesson. All right, friends, I cannot wait to see your beautiful Sondra Silsberwig inspired fish, and I can't wait to tell you what this craziness is all about. All right, see you, friends. Take a look at some of Sondra Silsberwig's artworks. Look at all the beautiful bright colors, all the different patterns and designs. Notice all the lines that you know that she has repeating over and over in small sections of her fish. This is what you're going to need to do when you're creating your artwork. So let's get started. The supplies that you're going to need are a white piece of paper, some crayons, markers, watercolors, a paintbrush, and some water. Let's get started. All right, friends, so let's get started on making our Sondra Silsberwig abstract fish. So here are those supplies that I said you might need. I have my crayons ready. If you have oil pastels, those will actually work even better, but I'm just gonna go ahead and use crayons for my project. I have my watercolor paint. If you do not have watercolor paint, you can make your paint with markers. I have my paintbrush and water, and then I have my white piece of paper. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to draw my 3 fish, and I'm gonna start with my middle fish, and I'm gonna try to make sure that it is in the middle so that I have space for one above and one below. And you'll notice that my fish are creating a pattern. They are looking in different directions every time. If you would like to do that as well, that's great. If not, this is your choice of how you'd like to do it. So I'm going to make sure that my paper is vertical. You could do it horizontal if you'd like, but I'm gonna go ahead and start with my paper in the vertical orientation. And then I'm gonna grab a black crayon. Now, you could use any color. I just really like the look of those really nice thick black lines around the edge. So I'm gonna stick with my black crayon, and my first job is to find the middle of my paper. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm gonna try to find the middle, and I'm gonna put my finger there. And with my crayon, I'm just gonna put a dot. That's gonna help guide me for my first fish. So everything behind one side is gonna be the tail, and everything before it is going to be the head. So I'm gonna start with my tail. I think it's the easiest. So I'm going to start from my tail and draw a triangle. And I'm gonna make sure that my lines are nice and thick. So I'm gonna go back and forth on top of them a couple of times to make my lines thick. Once I have my sideways V, I'm gonna close it up and make it into a shape. So I'm gonna add that vertical line. So now I have a sideways triangle. That's gonna be the tail of my fish. Now, starting from that center point, I'm gonna curl up. And just like before, I'm gonna make those lines nice and thick. And then I'm gonna do the same thing below. But notice I don't have them touching yet because that's where we're gonna leave space for our mouth. So now I'm just gonna go in and connect it. So there is my first fish. So now it should be easier to figure out the space you have for the other ones. So instead of starting in the middle, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna have my fish looking the opposite way. So that means that this fish above is going to be turned this direction and the one below. So the tail is going to be on this side. So instead of starting in the center, I'm just going to draw the end of the tail. So I have one on this side and I have one on this side. Then I'm just going to turn those tails into triangles. And then I'm going to curve up, curve down, make the mouth. Same thing on the other side. And then make the mouth. So now I have my 3 fish. I'm gonna make sure that my lines are nice and thick. And now it's time to start dividing up the background. So using my crayon, I'm gonna start to connect my fish with very straight lines. So now all 3 fish are touching. I'm gonna also make another line so that there are 3 lines. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, connecting each fish. Then I'm gonna take a few lines and I'm going to have them go to the edge of the paper. So now my artwork has 3 fish. It has 3 lines connecting those fish together. And then I have some lines all around the edges of my paper that are running all the way to the edge. Now it's time to have some fun with color and to add your patterns. So your job is to begin taking your crayons and I want you to add patterns. Remember, patterns are lines, shapes, or colors that repeat over and over. So I'm going to take all those lines and shapes I know, and I'm going to add color and patterns to my fish. And each fish needs to look a little bit differently. And notice I have a different pattern in all of my fish, so they should be different. So I'm going to start with one fish and I'm going to first just break it up into spaces that I can add different patterns to. So maybe this fish has this design on it. And then I need to add my eye. So I'm going to draw my fish eye right there. So this fish eye looks really interesting, and maybe I'll be a little extra creative and give this one some eyelashes. So take some time. I'm going to go ahead and work on my artwork. You can pause this video at any time to catch up. Think about all the lines and shapes you know and add as many patterns as you can to these fish. All right, friends, go ahead and get started. Okay, so once I've added patterns to all my fish, I'm gonna pick a couple of spaces in the background to add patterns as well. You do not have to do it to all of them. I'm just gonna pick and choose a couple that I think could use a little extra color. Okay, so after I have added patterns to the areas behind, it's time to paint. So you can either use your watercolors, or if you have markers, you can turn them into paint. I'll show you how to do both. Make sure that you add a different color to every area that you divided your fish in to make it extra colorful. So if I'm going to use markers, what I would want to do is I would add just a little bit of that marker ink to that space, and then add water on top, and that will transform into paint. All right, friends, go ahead and start painting your fish. All right, make sure you fill in every spot that you created with a different color. And then when you're finished and it's dry, I would love to see your beautiful abstract masterpieces. So don't forget to scan the QR code and upload those photos. All right, artists, till next time. See you later.